How did you get up there? Did you climb up that ladder? Crossing the railway tracks now, and there in the far distance is the Forest of Dean. I'm not heading directly there, I'm going to, but I'm heading towards the forest. It's certainly trying to look green and pleasant now, isn't it? The scent of the bluebells is really heady here because, well, we're heading into a nice dean and it's very concentrated, these plants here. And it makes for a very sensory experience coming down here. We're going into Oaklands Park. This is Bennett's Grove, I think. And I'm from Oaklands Park. Now Oaklands Park has next to it Oaklands Farm. Now the farm is probably the original upper class house and then Oaklands Park replaced it at a later date. So very often when you're trying to analyse the ancient history of or the old history of a place, consider that the manor house will have moved to be upwardly mobile, and very often the place called the farm is the place that was the original manor house. So when you see, that's an interesting dean, isn't it? Look at that. It's a gully, really. It's very steep. It's the public footpath was all overgrown. The public footpath gate, the stile was overgrown. Oh, I can see it. I'm starting to worry about how to find my way to the bridge. There is a bridge just down here, I can see it. This is not forest. This is we're only half a mile from Forest of Dean as it is today. Well, you could argue it's forest because the first perambulation of the Royal Forest goes down the Severn. That is the eastern edge of the forest boundary. So this was forest. But it hasn't been quite quickly. It turned into parkland, a private estate. Loads of bees there. There are thousands of bees here, all congregating around the entrance. I am not going to panic. They may dive bomb me. What they'll do is thud into the back of your head, annoy you and make you get out of there. It is unlikely you will be stung. Animals respond to confidence. In Britain it is traditional, an old charter, that you salute your betters when passing, so here goes. I'll show you how to do it. This is Haie Grove, this woodland, and it's open access. but it doesn't look like Forestry Commission land, and nor does it look unimproved. It looks like they're growing timber in there, conifers and so on. It has more of a feel. It does have a semi-industrial feel, but it's, look at all the bluebells. Can you see the bluebells? And there's also a feel of something quite old. And Haie is old, and it's spelt Haie, which probably indicates that either originally or later on it was named from a French understanding of a hedged enclosure. Now this is just a grove. I think Haie Farm is over there, a few hundred yards that way. I think it's a larger enclosure, a larger Haga hedge, Haie. And we have different medieval words for a hedged enclosure. We have Haga, which is a polygon. It is an area that is enclosed with a hedge, a fence. And we have hedge, which is more of a line, what it means today as a hedge. So that's instead of Haga, it's Hedge. And then we have, this is Old English, this is pre-Norman conquest. And then we have Haie, which comes from France with the Norman conquest, but it has the same meaning. Without the help of a historian, I've no idea how it came about that this is. See, all three of those words tend to, during the Middle Ages, become Haie, H-A-Y, or Haw, H-A-W. And Haw is very understandable from Haga, because that G goes from Haga to Haga to Haw. And so that's easy to understand. But how this place retains its old-fashioned spelling is a bit odd. I probably would need the help of a historian to go through, the deeds or whatever. They go through the land registry and see if we can find something out. But I thought I'd show you it. This is my ultimate destination because I'm looking for a hedge. So if we have a Haie, a Haga, or a Haw, or a Hedge, we need to find a hedge that is got fields both sides, so that it's less than 5 meters across to try and date it, according to Hooper's rules. The problem with looking at a hedge on the edge of woodland is that it will pick up diverse species very, very quickly from the trees behind it in the wood. That will spread very, very quickly, so it makes it meaningless trying to date. Because there's according to Hooper, there's a succession or a regular updating in diversity of a hedge over the years. And I think he's right. So I have an old name, Haie, which tells us somewhere around here there's an old hedge, a medieval hedge. Can we find it? Now, I'm not taking this too seriously. This isn't science. I'm just going for a walk. So we found wet ground. So the old merrills are wet on the outside after going through a rye field, but toasty and warm on the inside and dry. So we found wet ground. That is, there is a stream down here. The reeds tell me, before I even saw the wet ground, that this was wet ground. So so far so good. So we're looking for more furlong. So this ground could have been, furlong is always, furrow tells us it was ploughed. Now this isn't necessarily that. We're looking for ground at this sort of altitude next to the forest that could be called moor, that is marshy land. And this certainly is. There's loads of deer tracks as well. And there are reeds as far as you can see. I'll have to look at the LiDAR and see if there are any sort of field boundaries underneath the woods. I can't see them from here with the naked eye, but anyway, yes, this might be a bit unpleasant. Can't go. So that there is definitely part of the mint family, but it's a weird, it's not mint itself. I mean, again, I was looking for indicators of wet ground. It might be a wild mint that doesn't taste as minty as we like, but it's a herb anyway. I'm not going to eat it because I'm not suicidal, but yeah, no, don't take my advice when eating stuff out of the wild. Go and do your own research. What we have here is ridge and furrow, and those are the dark lines, the furrows, going from left to right on the screen. These are formed by the plough picking up the earth and tossing it to one side, creating ridges. But the furrows here have been filled with reeds, which tells us that this land is very, very wet. We've been looking for the last 3 or 4 videos for a location called Moor Furlong. And that means marsh furlong, so ploughed land on marsh. And I think we've proven that it is possible at this elevation, on hills, next to the Forest of Dean, far up from the River Severn, that it is possible to have marshy land that is also plough land. I'm going to be trying to date this hedge here. The context of it is that over there is Haie Grove. It uses the word Haie, which is medieval word for game enclosure. Mostly, not always, not in towns for example. But I need to find a hedge that has fields on both sides that is less than 5 metres in width. I have it here. Okay, so this joins on to Haie Grove. It goes down along here, and far in the distance you can see the Forest of Dean, which we also know goes back to William the Conqueror, maybe even before then. So I'm going to use the hooper method, which you should be familiar by now. I'm going to pace out 30 yards and count all the woody species that I can find, and then we'll talk about the theory in a minute. So 606 species, so that's 660, 690, nearly 700 years old, if hooper is as accurate as we would like it to be. But it probably isn't, but it gives a good rule of thumb. So that makes it 1335 a date, which is, considering we're looking at forest perambulations of 1280, I can't link them directly. Let me be clear about that. But we may be looking at at the enclosures, the enclosing, the commonisation of royal land, which I like to think is something that we should record. It's certainly something to remark upon. And so this land, as I said before, the forest goes as far as the Severn, and then as far as the Y on the other side forms a peninsula, a triangle, and it gets encroached and encroached and encroached. Sometimes the king is giving it away for money or loyalty, and sometimes or service. Sometimes people grab a bit of the land, the local commoners. He comes along and finds them and says, right, you're going to have to now start paying rent. And that's also how the forest is pushed back. The value, as long as he has some land to go galloping around chasing deer, then he's got, he doesn't mind. He does mind. There are disputes over sort of 400 years about it, maybe even longer than that. Where the king goes, why is this shrunk so much? And nobody goes, I don't know, you know. So it's and then he does an inquest into it, and then the forest expands again. But overall, the direction of travel is to commonise, but not a massive amount. I mean, if you take the forest in Wiltshire, I've forgotten its name, the one next to Swindon, it will come to me. That was as big as this forest was. It shrunk to nothing, a tiny nub of woodland. Yet here it is maintained its size, and that may have to do with the minerals that are here. The king was reluctant to give away the minerals. Well, the story of the free miners is something that I have to, because again we've got a class war element going on here. So I won't do it this time because I'm not entirely up to speed on the facts. I have looked at it before. I need to bone up on it and then come back and talk to you. But yeah, but I think one of the reasons why the Forest of Dean is what it is today is because of the minerals, just as much as the wood. That is a furrow, and that's a ridge and furrow, and it looks medieval because it's really wild, wide. I mean, but so this is. I've finished now. I'm going back. My back hurts. I don't know why. Sometimes I get a twinge, probably sciatica or something, and. Wanted to point out, can you see that far in the distance? Up there where the woodland is, that's where I ended up. That was my last bit on the last video. I ended up there by accident. I had no idea where I was. Well, I knew what ridge I was on and about how far along I'd gone. So yeah, getting lost seems to be something that seems to happen quite often at the moment. You're probably wanting a shoe update on my daps. They did well. They got a bit of a they got a bit of a baptism of fire because I had to cross this. And as you can see, those footprints are quite deep and full of water now. I thought that was fairly firm, and it's not. But yeah, it didn't go over the tops. Went right up to the top, about 2 millimeters away from the top. So it means the tongue is waterproof. It didn't let in any water through the tongue. So so far so good. Let's see how we get on with it. Oh, the grips are really good as well. So I'm really confident climbing over stiles and up banks and so on. Yeah. So far my merrills are doing well. Which reminds me, I found some pottery. See, that looks wheel turned to me, and it's a slipware. So if it's wheel turned, it's any time from about 0 AD. Now this is interesting. This is rough old stuff, really grainy. It has shell inclusions there. It has a bit of rim, so that might be diagnostic to some of you out there. Some of you antiquologists might know what that is. I suspect that, I think it's Roman, but I would like it to be Roman. But it's rough stuff, so it could be prehistoric. But that's a nice little find. I might have to email the museum, find out. But anyway, so that's another thing you can do out in the landscape yourself. Go and look for pottery, and you will be touching the past in a way. Your fingertips will touch something that somebody else's fingertips touched 1,000 years ago or more. So it's another way for you to interact, to lose your alienation from the landscape, is to do things like that.